Imagine you get a 40% raise today. Just sit with that for a second. More breathing room. Less stress. Finally feeling like you're getting somewhere. Now fast forward 2 years. Your bank account is sitting at the exact same number it is right now. Same stress. Same feeling that money just disappears. Maybe even a little more debt than before. How is that possible? It's not bad luck. It's not a discipline problem. It's not that you don't work hard enough. It's a system. And it was designed to work exactly this way. Not by accident. Not as a side effect. By design. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the full mechanics of how it works. Who benefits from it. Why it's almost invisible until you know what to look for. And what actually breaks the cycle. Because once you see this clearly, you won't be able to unsee it. Let's start with someone you probably recognize. James is 29. He makes $72,000 a year. He works in marketing at a mid-sized company. Good at his job. Got promoted twice in 3 years. 3 years ago, he was making $51,000. That's $21,000 more per year. Nearly $1,800 more per month hitting his account. You know how much more he's saved over those 3 years? Nothing. His savings account has maybe $400 more than it did when he started. In fact, he now carries a credit card balance of around $2,300 that he didn't have before. James is not irresponsible. He's not blowing money on ridiculous things. He just can't figure out where it goes. And that confusion, that specific feeling of earning more but feeling no richer, is not a personal failure. It's the system working exactly as intended. Here's what actually happened to James. When he made $51,000, his monthly take-home after taxes was around $3,400. His life cost roughly $3,200 to run. That left him about $200 a month. Not great, but he was young. It was fine. Then the raises came. First raise, up to $58,000. Take home around $3,850. His apartment lease came up for renewal around the same time. The building was raising rent anyway, so he started looking around. Found a nicer place for $200 more per month. Bigger kitchen, better neighborhood. He could afford it now, so why not? Second raise, up to $65,000. Take home around $4,300. His car had been giving him problems. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to be annoying. He'd been putting it off, but now with the new salary he leased something newer. Payment went from basically nothing, he owned his old car outright, to $380 a month. Third raise, $72,000. Take home around $4,750. By now, his social life had expanded to match his income. Nicer restaurants when he goes out. A gym membership instead of running outside. Upgraded his phone. Added a couple of streaming services. Small things individually. Let's add it up. His monthly take-home went from $3,400 to $4,750. That's $1,350 more per month. His monthly expenses went from $3,200 to roughly $4,600. He now has $150 left over, down from $200. He earned $21,000 more per year. He saved less than he did before. This is lifestyle inflation. And it doesn't happen because people are stupid or weak. It happens because the system presents you with a series of individually reasonable decisions, each one of which makes perfect sense in the moment, that collectively trap you at zero. Every single choice James made was logical. The apartment upgrade? He'd been in a mediocre place for years. The car? The old one was unreliable. The gym? He's investing in his health. The restaurants? He works hard. None of those thoughts are wrong, but the result is that James has built a financial life that now requires $72,000 per year to maintain. And next year, if he gets another raise, that number will simply move up again. That's not freedom. That's a treadmill that keeps getting faster. Now here's where it goes from uncomfortable to genuinely dark. Because lifestyle inflation isn't just a spending problem, it's a freedom problem. Let me show you what I mean. When James made $51,000 and his life cost $3,200 a month, what did that mean for his options? It meant that if he lost his job, he had some runway. He could find something else, take a risk, even take a lower-paying job that he liked more and survive the transition. It meant that if he had an idea, a freelance project, a small business, the downside was manageable. His obligations were small. His options were large. Now James makes $72,000 and his life costs $4,600 a month. He has a lease on that car. Break it early, and he pays thousands in penalties. He has a rent agreement on that apartment. He has a credit card balance accruing interest. He has a lifestyle his friends and colleagues associate with him now. What happens if James wants to quit? His stomach drops. Not because he's afraid of change, because he's done the math. Fast. He has maybe 1-2 months of savings. His monthly burn is $4,600. The business idea he's been sitting on would take 6 months to generate real income. He can't do it. Not because he's not capable, because his financial obligations have grown so large that they've removed the option entirely. This is what economists call the golden handcuffs effect. And the word golden is doing a lot of work there, because it feels like success. The car, the apartment, the lifestyle. From the outside, James looks like he's winning. But the handcuffs are very real. He cannot take a risk. He cannot negotiate hard with his employer, because he needs that paycheck. He cannot say no to a bad project or a bad boss, because the alternative is losing the salary, and the salary is now the only thing keeping his life from falling apart. And here's the cruelest part. The system didn't force this on James. Nobody sat him down and said, take the nicer apartment, lease the car, spend more on food. He made those choices freely. But the system presented those options at precisely the right moment. Right after a raise, when his brain was flooded with a sense of expanded possibility. And human psychology did the rest. Car companies target you when you get a promotion. Apartment complexes know when leases come up. Banks offer you higher credit limits when your income goes up. Every institution that profits from your spending is watching your income curve and waiting for the moment your brain is most vulnerable to saying yes. Now multiply James across every income level. There's a nurse making $48,000 who can't leave her hospital because she's living exactly at that number. There's a lawyer making $190,000 who has a mortgage, a second car, 2 kids in private school, and country club dues, and is one missed paycheck away from a serious problem. There's a tech executive making $400,000 who has a $3.2 million house, a lifestyle that burns through $350,000 a year, and more anxiety about money than most people would believe possible. The number changes. The trap is identical, because the trap was never about how much you make. It was always about the gap between what you make and what you require to survive. And the system is specifically designed, through advertising, social pressure, easy credit, and perfectly timed lifestyle upgrades, to keep that gap as close to zero as possible. Zero gap means maximum dependency. Maximum dependency means maximum control. You can't quit, can't negotiate, can't take risks, can't cause problems. You are a predictable, reliable revenue stream for your landlord, your car company, your bank, and your employer. All of them benefit from your trapped state. You do not. I want you to stop for a second and honestly answer this question. If your income stopped today, completely right now, how long could you maintain your current life? Not survive on rice and beans in your parents' basement. Your actual life, your actual rent, your actual car payment, your actual grocery bill. How many months? Be honest. Research consistently shows that the majority of working adults, including people with 6-figure salaries, could not sustain their lifestyle for more than 30 days without income. 30 days. That means most people are one unexpected event away from a genuine crisis at all times. A medical emergency, a layoff, a family situation that requires you to step back from work. Any of those things for most people doesn't just create stress, it creates a cascade. Miss rent, damage your credit. Miss a car payment, face repossession. Carry a balance on the card, pay 20% interest on money you don't have. One domino falls and the rest follow quickly. And yet, the salary trap convinces you that this is security, because you have a salary, a steady one, from a stable company. That feels safe. That feels like the responsible choice. But safety isn't a paycheck. Safety is the ability to survive without one. And most people have the paycheck without the safety. Here's why this matters beyond just the practical crisis scenario. Even if nothing goes wrong, no layoff, no emergency, the knowledge, somewhere in the back of your brain that you can't afford to stop, is changing your behavior every single day. It makes you more risk-averse at work. You don't push back when you should. It makes you more tolerant of bad situations. You stay in roles that don't grow you because leaving feels impossible. It makes you more susceptible to making decisions based on fear rather than strategy. The 30-day number isn't just a financial statistic. It's a measure of how free you actually are. And for most people, that number reveals that they're not as free as they think. Here is the single biggest mindset shift in this entire video. Most people track their income. They know their salary to the dollar. They watch for raises. They benchmark themselves against friends and colleagues. They feel good when the number goes up. Almost nobody tracks their gap. The gap, the distance between what you earn and what you spend, is the only number that actually matters. Because the gap is the only thing that can become wealth. Let me draw the distinction clearly because people use income and wealth interchangeably, and they are not the same thing at all. Income is a flow. It requires your participation, your time, your presence, your continued employment. The moment you stop showing up, it stops arriving. Wealth is a stock. It's resources that exist and work independently of whether you show up or not. A salary is income. The moment you stop working, it's gone. A rental property is wealth. It generates money whether you're there or not. A stock portfolio is wealth. It compounds whether you're paying attention or not. Income is temporary by nature. Wealth is permanent by nature. And here is the brutal mathematical reality. A person earning $200,000 a year with zero gap creates zero wealth. A person earning $55,000 a year with a $1,000 monthly gap, invested consistently, creates meaningful, life-changing wealth over time. Let's make that concrete. $1,000 a month, invested in a broadly diversified index fund at a historical average return of 7% annually. After 10 years, roughly $174,000. After 20 years, roughly $524,000. After 30 years, roughly $1.2 million. From $55,000 a year. From a $1,000 gap, the person making $200,000 with no gap ends up with nothing. The person making $55,000 with a real gap ends up with $1 million in options that most high earners will never have. The number on your paycheck was never the variable that mattered. The gap was always the variable. And the system works very, very hard to make sure you never realize that. Because here's what happens when people chase income instead of gap. They get a raise. Great. Now they need a bigger apartment to feel like the raise was real. They get another raise. Great. Now they need a better car to signal their new status. Every increase in income triggers an immediate, socially reinforced pressure to increase spending. And so the gap never widens. The salary number went up. The freedom number stayed flat. I want to be clear about something before we talk about solutions. This is not about quitting your job. It's not about living on nothing, moving to a cabin, and growing your own vegetables. It's not about radical sacrifice. It's about breaking a psychological pattern that the system made invisible. Because once you see the loop, income goes up, lifestyle expands, gap stays zero, dependency remains total, you can interrupt it, deliberately, at each step. Here's how. Step 1. Create a gap before you do anything else. The next time your income increases, a raise, a bonus, a side project that pays out. Before you do anything, redirect a portion of it to savings or investment. Automatically. Before you adjust your lifestyle, before you decide what you deserve to upgrade, your brain, fresh from a raise, is in expansion mode. That's the worst moment to make financial decisions. Automate the gap before your lifestyle has a chance to claim it. Step 2. Audit your obligations, not your spending. The conventional advice is to track your daily spending and cut back on lattes and eating out. That advice misunderstands the problem. The trap isn't built from $6 coffees. It's built from fixed monthly commitments. Rent, car payments, subscriptions, loan repayments that exit your account before you even decide to spend them. Look at your monthly fixed costs right now. What percentage of your take-home is already spoken for before you make a single choice? For most people, that number is somewhere between 70 and 90%. The goal isn't to find the cheapest coffee. The goal is to reduce that percentage, to keep your fixed obligations low enough that your income actually creates choices rather than just covering commitments. Step 3. Build your runway deliberately. 3 to 6 months of expenses sitting in a liquid savings account changes everything. Not just mathematically, psychologically. When you have 3 months of runway, you stop making decisions from fear. You negotiate differently at work. You walk away from bad situations. You take calculated risks. You don't accept whatever is offered because you know, concretely, that you can survive a gap. Build it slowly if you have to. $200 a month, $100 a month, it doesn't matter. The goal is to move from "I cannot afford to stop" to "I could handle a disruption." That transition is enormous. Step 4. Convert the gap into assets. Assets are things that generate income or grow in value without requiring your time. The simplest, most accessible version for most people is an index fund. You contribute money, it grows at a market rate, it compounds over time. You don't have to manage it or think about it. The point isn't to become a sophisticated investor overnight. The point is to start moving money from the spending column, where it disappears, to the asset column, where it stays and grows. Every dollar in assets is a dollar that is no longer dependent on your paycheck. Every dollar in assets is a dollar working for you instead of against you. Step 5. Redefine what progress looks like. This is the hardest one, because the system has spent your entire life teaching you that progress looks like a bigger apartment, a nicer car, a more impressive lifestyle. Real progress looks like a wider gap. Real progress looks like more months of runway. Real progress looks like assets generating income while you sleep. None of those things are visible to the outside world in the same way a new car is. Nobody will notice that you maxed out your index fund contribution. Nobody will comment on your growing savings runway. Progress that doesn't signal to others is still progress. It just requires you to care more about the reality than the appearance. Let's come back to James. James is still at his company, still getting good performance reviews, still making $72,000 a year. But something has shifted. He stopped seeing the next raise as permission to upgrade his life. He built 3 months of runway. He's contributing $600 a month to an index fund, automatically before his lifestyle can claim it. His life looks exactly the same from the outside, but internally, something is completely different. He knows he could leave if he needed to. He knows he could handle a crisis without catastrophe. He knows that the gap he's protecting is slowly building into something real. That psychological freedom, the knowledge that you are not dependent, changes how you show up everywhere. At work, in relationships, in the decisions you make about your own life. The salary trap is real. It's sophisticated. It's reinforced by every advertising message, every social norm, every consumer product designed to claim your next raise before you've thought clearly about what to do with it. But it is not permanent. It is not a law of physics. It's a default setting. And defaults can be changed, not by earning more, by requiring less, by protecting the gap, by building something that runs without you. The moment you don't need the paycheck, you're free. Not because the paycheck disappears, apophos, but because it's no longer the thing keeping your life from falling apart. That's the goal. That's what actually changes everything. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe. Because every week on this channel, we break down exactly how money actually works. No fluff, no get-rich-quick schemes, just the math, the psychology, and the moves that actually work. Stop surviving. Start building. I'll see you in the next one.